In 2023, we have seen Cedar Fair add 8 new rides from Zamperla to their parks. And so far, the rides that have opened have all provided nothing but issues for Cedar Fair and their respective parks. Whether the fault is pointed to Cedar Fair or Zamperla, it has to make you wonder what is going on in the mind at Cedar Fair if Zamperla is actually involved in the reimagined Dragster. Now, full disclosure, this video is not a knock against Zamperla, because I am a full believer that they provide the best flat rides for the parks and they seem to be mostly reliable. I also believe that parks are at fault just as much as the manufacturer when it comes to keeping rides maintained most of the time. And if you are looking for a prime example, just take a look at Universal and their relationship with Intamin. Look how well those coasters run down in Orlando on a daily basis. And then compare that to Cedar Fair's Intamins and you're going to see a major difference. We all can get excited since the only thing we don't know about the Spike is will it be twisted or straight and the height of it. And I'm going to share with you some very interesting up-close photos of the footer and share my thoughts later in the video. Cedar Point's new for 2023 Wild Mouse has suffered from extended downtime throughout the first week of being in operation. For Media Day, the coaster was down a ton. And then on Ohio State Day on Friday, the same story. Opening day, the park's new coaster was down way more than it was up. And unfortunately, the same thing happened on Sunday and now Monday. So you mean to tell me that a 52-foot tall roller coaster that was designed and manufactured by Zamperla had major issues during its opening week, but yet that same company could be taking on the most extensive and insane coaster project ever for a thrill ride that stands 368 feet taller than the Wild Mouse? Now, before I continue, I have to give a huge shout out for anyone who wore their baby ready to go shirts at Cedar Point for opening weekend. I heard there's like 10 or 15 or 20 people wearing these shirts around the park, and all I have to say is thank you. I love seeing them around the parks. I created this myself and I love wearing it. So if you're looking for a shirt like this and want to wear it out in the parks, be sure to check out the link in this video's description. Since Cedar Point announced that Dragster will not be reopening in 2022, rumors have been swirling around as to what will happen to the attraction. And I predicted from the start that this ride would reopen, but it would never offer the same ride experience. Along with that, I have said that the layout will be getting extended and predicted that Intamin will be involved. Then, since early fall of 2022, rumors started to go around that Zamperla might be supplying the trains for the 120-mile-an-hour Strata coaster. And then, that led into more speculation that the entire coaster could be getting reimagined by Zamperla. Cedar Fair has got to be crapping their pants right now due to the lack of reliability that the new Zamperla rides have provided so far for the Cedar Fair parks. Down at Carowinds, 4 of the 5 new rides for Aeronautica Landing are coming from Zamperla, one in which hasn't even been built yet. And the Air Race, the Gear Spin, and Airwalker have all suffered from a lot of downtime early on in the season. And you're probably thinking, well, downtime is typical early on in the season for new rides and coasters, and I totally agree with you. However, when a Wild Mouse coaster is down more than it is up, that is not a good sign for things to come, because remember, the reasoning as to why Dragster was reimagined to begin with. It was due to the accident and to make the coaster run more reliable. Cedar Point has one shot with the reimagined Dragster project. Seriously, this is a make or break situation. Not to mention, but Cedar Fair is spending a lot of money on reimagining Dragster, and rightfully so. And if it is Zamperla, then I have to talk to you about some of the risk involved. Whether it's Intamin or Zamperla, taking on a project of this scale includes a lot of risk, including safety issues. Now, obviously, the trains were the issue in the old Dragster. So is Cedar Fair really going to have the faith in a new train style coming from Zamperla to operate all throughout the day on a 120-mile-an-hour coaster and 420 feet tall? I mean, I just don't see why it makes any business sense for Cedar Fair to put all the money in that pot and have the faith that these lightning trains will be fine running at these conditions and the speed. Whereas Intamin has already developed probably the best train on the market. Seriously, the trains for Totatus, Pantheon, and Velocicoaster are just absolutely amazing. And they might be heavier than the lightning trains, but I guarantee you with enough momentum going up the top hat, then back, then up the spike, and then obviously through the rest of the layout, the train will make it over the top hat. And whether these trains hold 16, 18, or 20 riders per train, it's better than nothing. I would seriously be shocked if Zamperla really is the one doing this, because I figured Cedar Fair would want to wait and see how the new conversion of the Intamin hydraulic launch coaster that's getting converted to a Zamperla LSM coaster for Playland up in Vancouver, which is going to be opening sometime next year. Which also leads me to this. Zamperla is not known for their coasters, and they're already working on that major renovation for the park in Vancouver, let alone now taking on the Top Thrill Dragster project. I mean, I just don't think the company's capable of taking that time it takes to build and design these massive projects when flat rides is their bread and butter. Lake Erie Lifestyles has posted yet another amazing update that shows that the Spike is 99.999% confirmed based on the footer alignment and the concrete placements. Now, what Cedar Point plans on doing with the old station roof is anyone's guess, but I think it's clear that structure is staying, but it's not going to be home to the load and unload for the coaster, and that will be located somewhere else in the ride's layout, which has me thinking, since the park is keeping the roof structure, could we see this area be used for some pre-show of some type before the train starts to accelerate up and down the swing launch? My dear friend Buckeye Coasters created this comparison photo of the new Spike footer compared to the ones for the top hat. And be sure to go check out Buckeye Coasters on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as YouTube. Now back to this photo, because you can easily tell a few major differences here. And does this mean it's not Intamin? Now, I personally do not think a different looking footer that is 20 years younger than the original warrants that thought. But my main takeaway with this is just how large the new footers are. They are much larger than the originals, which has me thinking we very well could be looking at a Spike that is taller than the top hat. Once Iron Dragon reopens, we will be able to get some great views of the footer and the station area while riding the park's Aero suspended coaster. So do you think Cedar Fair is getting worried and nervous if indeed they hired Zamperla to redesign Dragster? Or do you still think it's Intamin? I still think Intamin makes the most sense for every reason in the book, but the Zamperla rumors keep on coming in. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.